Good morning, and welcome to another installment of the Chicken Qabalah of Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford. And we're on the chapter of sacred numbers and the tree of life. Now, if you recall from yesterday, this material of this chapter was drawn from fraudulent counterfeit documents that the rabbi claimed were the actual class essays from the ancient Zerubbabel Institute of Philosophical Youth. And there was a couple footnotes that I failed to read from yesterday. The rabbi held that these were legitimate documents over 2,500 years old, but they were fabricated entirely by Rabbi Ben Clifford, and they were written with a number 2 graphite pencil on sheets of modern history notebook paper. And as we will see on some of these essays, so-called essays, there's perhaps no more pathetic example of Rabbi Ben Clifford's naivete than his inclusion of the BC designation date upon supposedly authentic ancient documents. So here we go, and there's 4 or 5 essays, and we're going to read 2 of those essays today. Remember, these essays were to illustrate the Kabbalistic train of thought that went into developing the idea of the sacred numbers, sacred to Kabbalah, and eventually how they would manifest with the schematic diagram of the tree of life that we're all familiar with. So, this will be the first of the rare official classroom papers of the Zerubbabel Institute of Philosophical Youth, which exists to this day. Okay, the class is Kabbalistic Thinking 101. The class master was Rabbi Milton Rowe. A little fish joke there, Milt and Rowe. Milton Rowe. Class number 1, date, Adar the 23rd, 520 BC. And it even says BC. Okay. Here's the text for the meditation. And created the Elohim Adam. In the image of the Elohim created they them, male and female created they them. So that's Genesis 1:27 is the subject for this essay. And the postulate is, each one of us is made in the image of God. And the assignment itself, assignment number 1, think about yourself. Then write a 300-word essay on the creative. And here's the winning essay number 1, submitted by Shechaniah, son of Jehiel. When Rabbi Rowe gave us the assignment to think about ourselves, then write an essay on the creative nature of God, I was sure I would not be able to do it. But then I started to think. The text says the Elohim created Adam, or the human race, in the image of the Elohim. We are not told that snakes or aardvarks or fish or worms or any other animals or plants were created in the image of the Elohim. It seems to me that the question begs asking is, what separates human beings from other animals? And I think I have the answer. At least I have an answer. Thumbs. We have thumbs. Sure, apes and monkeys and a few lemurs have thumbs, but none of them use them to create things. The fact that our thumb opposes the other four fingers is one very important thing that separates us from the rest of our animal neighbors. With the opposable thumb, our ancestors made weapons, harnessed fire, fashioned tools and implements, created works of art, and hitchhiked. Our hands make us creative beings, just like deity. And the thumb is the key to our hand's success. Therefore, I have made the following conclusions. The hand of the creator, or the creative mechanics of the universe, must be in absolute unity, represented by the thumb, and it executes its creative power through a fourfold process, represented by the four fingers. This, I believe, is the primary reason our venerable ancestors worshipped one God whose great name is composed of four letters. Yod He Vav He. Bullet point number 2. The Hebrew word for hand is Yud, spelled Yud Vav D, YVD. Yud is the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet and the fundamental letter of the alphabet. As my father taught me, Yod is a flame, blow upon it, and you form all the other letters of the alphabet. Yod represents the number 10 in our system of counting. Furthermore, we can see that the holy number 4 conceals itself in the number 10. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. Conclusion. After meditating upon myself and my hand, I concluded that there is one God who creates through a fourfold process and ultimately manifests through 10 levels of expression. For this reason, I concluded that the numbers 1, 4, and 10 be considered holy and primary importance in our study. Final note. Dear Dr. Rowe, this essay is 398 words in length. Do I get extra credit? Signed, Shekinah, son of Jehiel. Here is winning essay number 2, submitted by Ramah, son of Josiah. I'm sure I speak for the entire class when I say that I'm filled with great admiration for my classmate, Shekinah, son of Jehiel, whose dissertation yesterday on the creative nature of God was a thrilling discourse of logic and insight. I agree wholeheartedly with his conclusions and wish to use them as a foundation of further discussion. I think we can all agree that the creative power of the human hand with its opposable thumb is a key characteristic that separates humans from other forms of terrestrial life. It's also very logical that we, being created in the image of God, should conclude that God is an absolute monad that executes its creative power through a fourfold process. This supports our tradition of the 4 Kabbalistic worlds, which are mirrored in humans by the 4 parts of the soul, and should earn our veneration for the numbers 1 and 4. Brother Shekinah also pointed out that because the word Yod is the 10th letter of the sacred Hebrew alphabet, and that Yod represents the number 10, we should hold the number 10 in high regard as well. Also, we must remember that we have 2 hands with a total of 10 fingers, and this fact further underscores the importance of the number 10. Now, I wish to point out that the word Yod, Yud, Vav, Dalet, when spelled in full, adds to the number 20. So Yod 10, Vav 6, and Daleth 4 adds to 20. Now, let's see. Adds to 20, which reminds us that we, therefore God, have 20 digits. For as the wise cobbler said, we mustn't forget our toes. Now you may ask, is 20 as significant and holy as the number 1, 4, and 10? I say no. While providing certain symmetry to our bodies, that does not exactly set us apart from other less spiritually endowed creatures. But in between our 2 sets of fingers, there is one thing that does set us apart. Our tongue. We have a tongue, the power of speech. Through speech, we communicate and inform, just as deity does. Through speech, we create images in our minds and in the minds of others, just as deity does. Through speech, we give names to all things in our environment and organize our thoughts, just as the deity does. Through speech, we bless and curse our friends and enemies, just as deity does. Through speech, we command, subjugate, and exploit anyone whose will is weaker than our own, just like deity does. Finally, between our 2 sets of toes is another member that actually gives us the power to create other human beings in our own image. True, humans are not the only creatures who reproduce. But our father Abraham entered into a covenant with the deity, a covenant sealed by a curious gesture of mutilation. The rite of circumcision not only symbolizes our obedience to our God, but also our acknowledgement to ourselves that we can master and control our sexual drives for the greater good of family, our race, and humanity in general. Now, remember, these are supposed to be 6th century BC teenage students writing this. So I'm not saying that I totally agree, but this is showing how Kabbalistic logic works. Conclusion to this essay. I think we can all agree that our unique powers of speech and the godlike power of creation that both men and women carry in their loins certainly qualify as divine characteristics and elevate the marvelous number 22 to equal status with 1, 4, and 10. As our holy Hebrew alphabet is composed of 22 letters, I think there can be no debate on this matter. Signed, Ramai, son of Josiah. Okay. We will save what follows here, which is assignment number 2, which is a role-playing exercise for tomorrow's installment of the Chicken Qabalah of Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford. Now, I don't know for sure or not, but I'm trying to get my pitiful technology together with my little MacBook Air, and that's about all I've got, to perhaps do perhaps a short little series of short, brief, one set musical performances in the evening sometimes. If I thought there was enough interest in that, I would try to continue to consider that and see what I might do to give a little evening performance now and then. So I'm just warning you that it's in the back of my head at the moment. And but I'll see you tomorrow morning. Anyway, continue to be good to yourself. As you know, you're made in the image of the Elohim. Be good to each other, and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. I'm going to